up the middle. Trying, pushing. Did he make it? West Georgia? Yes, he did. Touchdown.
With that determined and powerful burst up the middle in the game's closing seconds, David Phillips put the cap on West Georgia College's Braves' 14-0 win over Augustana College for the 1982 NCAA Division III National Championship. From a program that had no team, no field house, and only one coach 28 months before, this band of young, talented, high-spirited athletes and coaches had molded themselves into a national champion in less than 3 years. Their incredible story has been told from coast to coast. Against all odds, they had dared to dream the impossible dream, and they worked, sweat, and bled until it had become a reality.
Nobody does it better. Makes me feel sad for the rest. Nobody does it half as good as you. Baby, you're the best. I wasn't looking, but somehow you found me. I tried to hide from your love.
To fully appreciate what a mere 2-year-old football program composed of only 3 seniors, 6 juniors, 82 sophomores, and 26 freshmen accomplished in such a remarkably short span of time, we have to go back to the beginning. The Braves began their march to the national championship with a 38-6 season opening win over Miles College, and then returned home for their second game of the season against Baptist University's Eagles. West Georgia opened up the game through the air as quarterback David Archer hit tailback Harold Long for a big gainer, and followed with another strike to Mike McConnell. Tight end Brian McCormick put the Braves on the board with a 14-yard TD pass reception from Archer, and the Braves were off and rolling to a 45-0 win, their second victory of the season. As the shutout would indicate, the Braves' defense played tough, allowing the Eagles minus 33 yards rushing and picking off a record 7 interceptions during the ball game. A strong pass rush led by Ricky Hill and Mac McCoy put the heat on the Baptist quarterback all night long and helped preserve the 45-0 shutout. Then CBS Sports came into the picture as the Braves game at Millsaps College in Jackson, Mississippi was moved to Sunday afternoon and was televised throughout the southeastern United States. It didn't take long for the Braves to get on the board as Cartersville sophomore Lamar West took the opening kickoff and raced 92 yards to pay dirt to astound the crowd homecoming visitors at Millsaps College and also the regional television audience. After the Majors cut the tally to 14-6, West struck again when he took the ensuing kickoff, and this time raced 91 yards to give the Braves a 21-6 halftime lead. Rusty Whaley made the first of numerous great catches during the season when he caught this 41-yard TD toss from Archer, and backup quarterback Frank Barden completed the scoring in the 41-6 final with a 48-yard TD beauty to Al Shepard, a player who was destined to become the team's top receiver in 1982. As explosive as the Braves' offense was, it was their defense that earned accolades. 7 sacks were recorded in the ball game, including 3 by defensive end Angelo Snipes. 3 more passes were picked off as the Braves' defense manhandled Millsaps and added to their reputation as being the toughest around. Next week, Hampton-Sydney College came to town with a vaunted defense of their own. The Braves rolled up a school record 580 yards total offense and a 48-0 rout. The Braves had 2 100-yard rushers in the game, and Trevon Daniels with 110 and Harold Long with 100. Incredibly, Daniels' 110 yards came on only 2 carries, with runs of 59 and then later in the game of 51 yards. Long's 26-yard TD was one of the more unusual plays of the season as he bobbled the pitch from Archer, picked it up, and ran into the end zone. And then reserve tailback Anthony Causer put on a 60-yard burst up the middle. That was the second longest run from scrimmage of the season. David Archer tossed 2 TD passes to Whaley of 16 and then later of 33 yards. Again, the Braves' defense shined, including another sack full of sacks like this group effort by Ken Terry, Mac McCoy, and Ricky Hill. 2 more passes were intercepted to run the season total to 15 in only 4 games. Next up was another home field bout, this one with Knoxville College. Again, the Braves didn't take long to get on the board as they drove 80 yards in 7 plays to take an early lead. Harold Long rushed for a season high at that point, 144 yards on 17 carries, and had several long runs during the game. David Phillips, the old-timer from Carrollton, got in on the act with the longest run of his career in college football on this 31-yarder. Lamar West proved that he can do something besides run back kickoffs as he caught a 24-yard TD pass from Frank Barden. And Al Shepard pulled in this 61-yard bomb in the offensive game for West Georgia. The Braves allowed Knoxville only 9 yards rushing because of plays like this that had the Bulldog backs on the run all day long after an onslaught by the Braves defense that never let up in this 1982 homecoming game for the Braves. The season's 6th game found the Braves more than 500 miles away from home in the unfriendly confines of Randolph-Macon College, Virginia, a team that had vowed to make amends for the previous year's embarrassing loss to West Georgia. And it looked as if the Yellow Jackets would do just that as they had the Braves on the run in the first half and threatened to take the lead in at halftime. But on a 4th and 1 play from the 1-yard line, All-America linebacker Derek Germain came through with one of the big defensive plays of the season when he dropped the Randolph-Macon ball carrier for a loss. Then it was the offense's turn in a stirring 92-yard 10-play drive during the half's closing 4 minutes. West Georgia scored on this 12-yard from Archer to Shepard pass with only 30 seconds showing on the clock at the half. Opening the second half of play, the Braves put on their most explosive quarter of the entire season, scoring 28 points in less than 12 minutes and going on to another 34-0 rout. Fired up by the ridiculing remarks overheard from a Randolph-Macon coach during the lackluster first half, the Braves put a licking on the Yellow Jackets they or their fans will not soon forget. The big hoss for the Braves offense was a little fella named Tom Clifton, who used his 5'5", 165-pound frame to roll up 107 yards, including several powering runs that had the Jackets reeling. Archer got in on the act with his 24-yard and also a 30-yard run. Quayle pulled in another TD pass, as did Shepard in the 34-0 win. As the shootout would suggest, the Braves defense did another number on its opponent, stopping the Jacket offense cold on the ground and through the air. And the special teams put the clamps on with a super kickoff coverage that helped the Virginia team from the season loss. The following week, the Braves were in Orlando, Florida to battle Division II University of Central Florida in the Tangerine Bowl. Once again, an opposing coach's disparaging remarks against the Braves fueled the team's competitive fires as it rolled to a 41-7 romp before some 20,000 disappointed Central Florida homecoming fans. The West Georgia defense held the Knights at bay with gang tackling, sacks, and interceptions until the offense got on track and scored on this pass play from Archer to Todd Clifton. One of the game's big plays came on this 44-yard burst by Archer on a 3rd and 1 inside the Braves' own 5-yard line. Archer's 29-yard pass to Shepard completed the 96-yard drive. Trevon Daniels led all rushers with 117 yards, including several spectacular runs that lended credence to the boast that West Georgia had 2 of the quickest backs around in Daniels and in cohort Harold Long. On this beautiful autumn night in Florida, the Braves set a new school record for total offense in a game with 585 yards, including 345 on the ground and 240 through the air. Next in line came another team determined to make amends for an embarrassing loss to a first-year football team the previous season, the Morehouse College Tigers. But again, the Braves hammered an opponent into frustration from the outset, scoring 28 first-quarter points led by David Archer, who passed for 2 TDs to Whaley and Clifton and added 2 himself on a 1-yard plunge and a 19-yard jaunt. The final 42-6 win would have been more, but a quick whistle blown by a deceived referee brought back this apparent 90-yard touchdown by number 2 quarterback Frank Barden. For the fans, at least, the highlight of the game came late in the second period when both benches emptied in a midfield confrontation that was quickly cooled off. After a bobbled punt enabled the Tigers to take over on the Braves' 1-yard line, West Georgia brought their fans to the feet when they held Morehouse College on that series and win it at halftime, preserving the shutout. More gang tackling, sacks, and interceptions held Morehouse to less than 100 yards total offense in the game. In the regular season finale, West Georgia drove 84 yards in only 4 plays to score in their first possession when McConnell caught this 45-yard TD pass from Archer. Clifton added a 45-yard touchdown run, among his team's leading 130 yards on the night, and Harold Long totaled 126 yards on the ground for the night as well. Rusty Whaley caught a pair of touchdown passes for the second time in a single game this season, and Ken Revels notched West Georgia's longest punt return of this year for a touchdown on this 71-yarder that featured outstanding blocking downfield. For the second consecutive year, the Braves finished the regular season unbeaten with a 45-13 win. The 1982 season that was completed in regular season play, West Georgia finished as the nation's leader in total offense with an average of 470 yards per game. First in the nation in scoring with an average of 42 points per ball game. First in the nation in rushing defense with a meager allowance of only 42 yards per contest allowed to opponents. And also number 1 in the country in rushing offense with a mark of 325 yards per contest. Great statistics and records are nice, but next on tap were the playoffs, and the Braves were determined to go all the way this time around. On a cold, dreary day at Grisham Stadium, it was payback time for the West Georgia Braves, time to make amends for their only loss in 2 years. Defending national champion Widener University was making a return visit to the scene where they had given the Braves their only loss in last year's Cinderella season, a 10-3 defeat for the South Region title. But now Cinderella had grown up, and a determined band of West Georgia football players was also going to try to make the Pioneers their first playoff victim en route to their own national title. Things started badly for the Braves, however, as they fumbled the opening kickoff, and Widener recovered and went on to score on a field goal. The Braves defense tightened inside the Braves' 5-yard line and allowed only the 3-point play. It didn't take long for West Georgia to get on the board as Trevon Daniels broke loose on a 71-yard run to put the Braves on top 7-3. But Widener came back to take a 10-7 lead until Lamar West set up the next Braves scoring drive with a beautiful 58-yard kickoff return that had the Braves in tremendous field position. On a 4th down and 2 play from the Widener 13-yard line, Archer got 5 yards and a first down to the Pioneer 8. 2 plays later, Daniel scored his second TD of the game to give the Braves a 14-10 halftime lead. West Georgia led 17-10 late in the 4th quarter, but Widener tied the game with 90 seconds showing on the clock on this desperation touchdown pass. The game went into overtime with each team getting the ball on the 15-yard line with 4 plays to either score or pick up a first down and then score before turning the ball back over. Widener won the toss and elected to play defense in the first overtime. Archer went to the 3-yard line on the first play from scrimmage and was injured on the play and left the game for the next 2 plays. On a 4th down from the 1-yard line, Widener held and took possession of the ball. And on Widener's first possession, the quarterback Mango got inside the Braves' 5-yard line on the first play. The Braves defense stiffened and forced a 24-yard field goal attempt, a chip shot by the field goal kicker Poulos. If the ball had gone through the uprights, the Braves would lose. Listen to Mitch Gray as he called the play.
It's set up on the 14-yard line. It would be a 24-yard attempt. Both lines set. There's the snap. It's down. The kick is up, and the kick is not good. He missed it. He missed it. It's no good. Look at the flips those players are turning.
The game now went into a second overtime period. The Pioneers scored on their first play and now led 24-17. The Braves looked a loser for sure when they faced a 4th down play. They had to score or see their national title hopes end.
Split left is Shepard. McConnell and Whaley are wide right. Archer is your quarterback. He's got the eye behind him. David's going to drop the throw and looking, throwing it toward the end zone. It's going to be a touchdown! Rusty Whaley! Whaley caught it!
With Rice's point after touchdown, West Georgia sent the game into a 3rd overtime. After Clifton barreled his way to the 4-yard line on 1st down, Long scored on this 6-yard run to give West Georgia the lead, 31-24. But now the pressure was on Widener. They had to score to keep the game going. The Braves sacked Mangold on a first down play, and after a second down incompletion, it appeared that Roy DeLay had ended the game with this diving interception. But the officials ruled trout. The field had to be cleared of the multitude of Braves fans who thought the game was over. That brought up a fourth down pass that fell harmlessly to the ground to end one of the most incredible football games ever seen in this area. A week later, the Braves found themselves back again at Grisham Stadium to host the 1982 NCAA Division III semifinal playoff game. The opponent was Bishop College out of Dallas, Texas. The Braves didn't take long again to get on the scoreboard when Harold Long raced 78 yards, picking up 78 of his 169 yards in the game, a season high, to give the Braves a 7-0 lead. West Georgia's defense came to play, holding Bishop scoreless in the first half and putting extreme pressure on the Bishop College quarterback. After Bishop scored on an 88-yard kickoff return to open the second half, the Braves came right back, and they scored themselves on a 54-yard TD pass from David Archer to Al Shepard. Archer scored again from the 2-yard line early in the fourth quarter, and that made the final West Georgia 27, Bishop 6. The Braves were now on to the Stag Bowl to play for their long-awaited national championship. The national championship game, the Stag Bowl, was now set. West Georgia versus Augustana College of Rock Island, Illinois. The wing T offense of the Vikings took the opening possession and were moving the ball on the Braves at will until Angelo Snipes sacked the Augie quarterback to force a fumble and end the scoring threat. With the West Georgia offense having trouble getting started, Augustana once again drove inside the West Georgia 20 and appeared to have a sure touchdown. The pass was dropped. After the Vikings missed a short field goal attempt, they got new life when the Braves were called for having 12 men on the field. But again, the Braves defense rose to the occasion and held the Vikings on this fourth down inside the West Georgia 1-yard line. The Braves now had little time remaining in the first half to get something on the board, but they did manage to do just that. With only 29 seconds left in the first half, Shepard brought in the play from the West Georgia bench that would break the game open. Faking into the line, Archer faded back and heaved this 71-yard strike to Shepard that gave the Braves a 7-0 lead, a lead they would never relinquish. After a scoreless third quarter, Long got the Braves going again with a 30-yard dash to the Augustana 21-yard line. 5 plays later, Phillips bulled his way in from the 5-yard line, and West Georgia had put the clamps on a 14-0 win. The West Georgia defense put the finishing touches on a shutout win when Snipes sacked the Viking quarterback on a fourth down play. It was the fourth time in the game the Vikings had tried to go against the Braves on fourth down, only to come up short. The final score, West Georgia 14, Augustana nothing, and at last, the long-awaited, the impossible dream of a national championship had come to reality for the 1982 West Georgia Braves. So there you have the plays, the games, and the top players from 1982. West Georgia College. Here's to the winners, the 1982 NCAA Division III National Champions. Nobody did it better.